humans! We've made it to Calcium, and this was a bitch to edit, not because of the painting, which was pretty peachy, but because of insane tech issues. For one thing, this is the third time I've said all this because my narration program keeps going sideways. And before that, each of these videos is made up of several files, and one of the files was corrupted, and it would glitch out and close the program and dump all my progress. But I didn't want to just throw out that file, so I ended up doing all of my clipping in the opposite order from usual until only that shot was left, and then I saved the project and snuck up on the corrupted bit and snipped it out. Ninja editor. Still, it's been a shitstorm, and I'm lucky that there was less footage than usual to work with. Calcium was a darling. No fighting at all. From concept to finish, this goblin was super nice to me. Since calcium is an element that gives form to chalk, bones, coral, and such, I assigned him the meaning of structure, and envisioned him building a little tower out of various calcium-containing things. His face should be thoughtful and calm. After all, calcium isn't known for exploding like its older brother magnesium there. It is an alkali earth metal, and as such is pretty soft and unassuming, metallic gray when isolated, but it forms bonds so readily most people never see it that way. We see it as white rocks and eggshells, and we associate it with bone health and milk commercials. As well we should. Calcium is, of course, an important dietary nutrient, and it causes crucial processes to happen within our cells. Those processes are so important, in fact, that the body will leach calcium out of its own bones rather than run low in the blood. So, yes, it's a good idea to keep plenty of it in your diet. This background is terribly streaky because phthalo blues and greens are so translucent. The final image will be smoother, but I corrected it a while after I thought the painting was finished, and I've got to warn you in advance, I cannot find the footage of me de-streakifying the background. If those files ever turn up, we'll celebrate by patching them randomly into some other video. In the meantime, we'll all just have to be vaguely dissatisfied. YouTube abounds with videos I find unsatisfying, and usually they're titled something strangely satisfying. I've watched one or two of those. I can't stand them. My problem is that someone somewhere seems to think that we're all satisfied by a clip of the middle of a process, like machine taffy pulling or clay smoothing or carrot peeling, and I'm like, no, give me the whole process, or give me none. This is why I sometimes watch the acrylic pour artists, in particular Olga Sobey of Smart Art Materials. I'll link her channel in the description. Now that's satisfying. Blank canvas to finished painting, and she usually tells her audience what colors she's using, and her methods are lovely to watch. I've been watching more of her stuff because one of our 18-year-olds finally got to go to campus. He's been doing college remotely all this time. So now he's in Chicago, and we set up our old gym equipment and an old TV in his room, so now I can work out while zoning into YouTube, and acrylic pour artists are the best for that. On the topic of things to watch, we installed Sci-Fi the other day so we could watch Resident Alien, because Facebook has been advertising it at me constantly, and while I can ignore gorgeous shoes from Wish.com, I can't resist an Alan Tudyk show. And if you want to avoid spoilers, either skip to this timestamp or just mute me and watch me paint until I give you a green light. Done? Last chance. So, the pilot had a lot going on. Like, it's an alien who's going to learn how to like humans enough not to kill us all while trying hilariously to blend in. That's a good arc. Also, I like the crime procedural aspect. That's cool. The kid who can see him? Oh, all right, but I hope they become allies because I don't like a screaming child as a running gag. The murder of the original Harry sucked. I wish he'd just had a heart attack or something because that would have been funny, and instead it's dark and will clearly come back to bite him, and I don't like it. The 59 story felt wedged in there. It could have waited. The love story is going to get weird, but I like weird. Overall, it made me laugh enough times to look forward to the rest of the season, definitely. I just hope they pace themselves, and as an aside, I'm sure the doctor's wife did it. Unless the original Harry survived the ice and is going on a killing spree. Anyway, that's it. Any good goss about the people who muted me? No? Okay, we'll let them back in. I thought it would be fun to have the light hitting this guy as if it's emanating from the objects themselves. It feels strange to underlight a face, but I was helped by the simplicity of his features. I call it a him out of habit. Obviously, none of my goblins have assigned genders, except maybe the one with mutton chops. What do you think? Where is Calcium on the gender spectrum? Let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, for the sake of convenience, I'll keep using he, him. I do know that none of my alkali earth metals like clothing. The only one who will be wearing anything is barium, and even then it's just a cloak. You can't see if he's wearing pants, that part is hidden, but I'm sure he's not. And now that I think of it, radium is going to look distinctly feminine, but happily that means very little these days. I'd like my youngest to grow up in a world where gender roles are known, but not important. Like the ABCs. You don't need to be thinking about the alphabet song when you write a novel, and you don't need to be thinking about gender roles when you're figuring out your style. I do know I was having trouble with scale, again. Some of those items give him the appearance of a child's height, which is what I was going for, but that egg he's holding is so teensy. Maybe it's a quail's egg, or a pigeon's. Maybe I'm making a point about how even the smallest birds lay eggs with calcium shells. Maybe I should just have painted it bigger. In my own personal vocabulary, an elevator person is someone who is so extremely introverted you'd have to be stuck in an elevator between floors together for several hours without distractions to get them to thaw out. Such people are almost always worth knowing. I have one friend I met when I was 17 and he was 11. We were part of the same group, but in 8 years we had maybe 5 monosyllabic conversations, so I figured he was just not a talker. But then, when he was 19, I helped him dig a foundation for his smithy, all by hand, grueling work, rocks and tree roots, and now that we weren't in a group, he had plenty to say. Turned out he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the history of armaments, and he got really animated and loquacious because I was the only one there. That was an elevator-type scenario. He is an elevator person. Calcium here looks like an elevator person. See how I tied that back? Go me! Alan Tudyk doesn't strike me as an elevator person, but I think it'd be entertaining to be in that situation with him. Just saying. Here, I'm repainting the milk label red so it will pop against the bluish green, and we've got a few finishing touches to hash out, and... Real quick, the pile of stuff is a gallon of milk surrounded by school chalk and 1 bone, a piece of coral, a tooth, a white rock, a snail shell, and an egg. We're done. Here is the much smoother background I mentioned. Sorry we didn't get to see the painting of it. Still feeling like I've triumphed over adversity, though. Thank you for coming along on this wild ride. It means the world to me. Like, subscribe, comment, get some sleep, be good, and stay healthy. Oh yeah, I was fixing up calcium because the gallon of milk was really not very legible. Blue on turquoise. Not a smart choice on my part. Dear gods, please, please, please let that recording have actually worked. Give me the Imbolc miracle.